Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 166. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have back with us the highly acclaimed and talented British comic creator, Markus Pattern. Markus.
Hola.
How's it going?
It's going all right, yourself?
I'm doing all right. So this is exciting. So what's really cool is that you reached out because you already have issue number 2 of 13 Shots of Whisky already out. Just like that. And that Burnt Ends, right? That's the name of it?
Burnt Ends, yeah.
All right. So I'm really curious because when you were on the show last time, we were talking about that 13 deaths of Willie Waterhouse.
3 deaths of Willie Waterhouse, yeah.
And yes,
you mean this book here?
That one right there. So when we're talking, I was like, why did you want to do a Western? And you had a lot of good explanations on what you love about the Western genre. But this is not a Western comic, Burnt Ends.
No. I basically, not to sound unoriginal and a plagiarist or nothing, but like, did you ever see season 2 of Why Women Kill?
No.
Well, you should. It's really good, but it's basically set in like the tail end. I think that's set in the tail end of the 50s and stuff. And one of the main characters, his name escapes me, and I haven't got a phone to Google. Is a black private detective, and I was like,
okay,
that's pretty cool. I like that aesthetic. I could do something like that. I could run with that. So basically, I did, and I was like, I like the idea of because the last book was because I like the idea of drawing horses and stuff. Like I don't know I like drawing cars, but like maybe I should give it a go and stuff. Practice makes perfect, and then it's like, I quite like this idea, and drawing in period is difficult, and so essentially it was more of a challenge, especially because of the way unlike 3 Deaths of Willis Waterhouse, this one is very structured in the way that the panels laid out. It's either 4 tiers, or there's one long tier and then 4, and then there's one where or 4 with insert panels and stuff. Basically, I was before I started drawing this, I was reading quite a bit of I was reading some of the original Savage Dragon comics, and basically way Eric Larson would set out stuff he'd have one long tier. You get a Savage Dragon being kind of burly, and then you get the setup scene stuff. Yeah, so actually this is how So this is how I would set it up and stuff. So the first page you just showed would be an example of the drop down tier. You get introduced to Sylvester Bloom, and then you get the action sequence, and then the second tier is page the 4 tiers, the stuff happening, and then the third page we can see the so you got the insert, so panel insert, panel insert, blah blah blah. Yeah, so it was just an interesting way to kind of work in more of a real rigid structure. Kind of there's only going to be either at the most 8 panels per page, and
okay.
there's going to be at the least 4 panels, except for page 12, in which basically the story in which
I'm curious about the title. You call this genre neo-noir. So can you explain what neo-noir is?
From what I can gather, neo-noir is basically any modern noir kind of thing. So if it's not set in the 30s and 40s when the genre was at its peak and stuff, so when basically when they invented color movies and stuff, so stuff I think Chinatown would be neo-noir. The guy who directed Drive, his stuff would be neo-noir. Early Rian Johnson stuff would, I think, be classified as neo-noir. So yeah, basically that's I think that's I think that's what I'd classified as neo noir, kind of basically hardboiled detective stories and stuff. But like,
Mm,
yeah, but I mean, yeah, that kind of thing.
all right.
I think that's the
And
way to describe it.
okay. Do
I'll be honest, with
you
you, I kind of just fixed the tag because like it's not a noir story, but it's not like because he's not quite hardboiled enough for that kind of thing. But like,
mm.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so was this story already written and out? Like how long did it take you to put this together?
Um, so I basically, like the initial concept I came up with at the begin. I think it was one of the initial pitches I came up for myself, like the series of books that were going into 13 shots as a series. And
Hmm.
then as I was winding down on the Three Deaths of Willis Waterhouse, I kind of sort of started penning and writing and so I had the idea in probably November time, and then I started crystallizing it in towards the end of Three Deaths, which I think would probably be about maybe March time, and oh no, about February time, and then when I finished Three Deaths of Willis Waterhouse, I then just went and wrote it out. So like it was, yeah, I think so. Yeah, basically, germ of an idea in in November, crystallizing in January February time, and then blooming in in the end of March, beginning of March.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow. So you're able to put this together that quickly.
I mean, as I said, I'm aiming to basically knock these out like within 7 weeks of creation and stuff. Like, so like, yeah, basically. So, and the thing with this one is, it's because with the Three Deaths of Willis Waterhouse, what I was doing was doing that kind of um like post-it note kind posted postcard way of doing it, where you kind of plot it out and then you kind of arrange it that way and everything. And then with this, because the plot is quite intricate and I need to hit beats and beats and beats, but I need it all to be within a really short amount of time. Uh, well, not I was in a very limited page count and stuff, so I need to, and I need to hit the tragic event. I needed that to be on the center page, so I needed that to be page 12, because like when you flip open the book, like, oh, when you flip open the comic book and it's like literally the middle page, like, I needed that bit to be there. And it's a case of like, so like, and then so that was more a case of it's just like I I wrote like a full script, and then uh, uh, trimmed it down to that to the point where like literally there's no meat on this on this bone or nothing. Like it's case like I had some other bits in case like, nah, that can't be there, and that's not enough room for there, because like I need stuff to set up. Where it's like, oh, okay. So I don't want like the reveal of who the burnt ends killer is. I don't want it to be kind of like, oh, I just plucked a random guy. I want there to
Hmm.
be, I want there to be kind of breadcrumbs to it, but like I don't want it to be a case of like, it's not like an episode of Columbo where you know who the cat is. It's like,
Right.
oh yes, now that I've seen this and I go back and read the story, I can see where he's going with that. So like it's like which didn't lend itself to the postcard way of doing things. So
So with
yeah,
the main protagonist, Sylvester Bloom,
yeah.
how much because these are seemingly to be one shot stories within a series, how much did you have to feel as though you had to do substantial character development for the protagonist as compared to making sure you had a beginning, middle, end of a mystery?
Uh, Good question. I mean, I like to think that I've created a series of well-rounded characters that could, that drive the plot along, and it's character driven. But obviously, it being a detective story, it's plot driven. But like, so I mean, like I mean, I would. I mean, obviously, I know I know everything about him and stuff, and like, not to be like, so, like, the reason why he's a private eye, taking photos of cheating housewives and stuff, is because he's a Spanish immigrant who wanted to take wildlife photos, but there was no market for it. But rich people want to catch their wives having affairs so they can end marriages and stuff. So that's how he fell into this job. And his cousin, Constable Niger, is like a straight-laced police officer and stuff, and that's and so like, but they're both Spanish, but like they both have like certain levels of respect and regard for the community and stuff. So like like in the beginning part of the book, like Niger is like, no, you need to speak English in this. We're trying to assimilate and stuff, and and Sylvester's like, well, you know what, these people are jerks. Why should I bother and stuff? And but by the end of towards the end of the book, where basically the town has shown itself up to be the bunch of jerks that they are. Uh, Niger stops trying to speak English and goes first back to Spanish. So like kind of like, so that's again like sort of, I like to think that's some sort of character development and character motivations, and like kind of like they have one motive and one point of view and stuff, and like they're going this way and that, and then over the course of the story affects them as case of, yeah, well, like if they're and like, so the town's a character too in a way and stuff, and like and you bristle and you brush off it and stuff, and like like if you like and yeah, so essentially I would like to think that I created a well-rounded enough characters that the reasons why they do what they do are motivated by the plot and them reacting to the plot that leads to something else. Whether I've done that, that's up for history to judge me and stuff. But like, yeah, this one, I put a lot more. I mean, I put a lot of thought into most of my characters, but this one I wanted to, because like, well, I need him to make this decision, but I need it to be a decision he would have made. So like, there's no point, So like, creating a character who would make those decisions and stuff is obviously part and parcel of writing these things. So like, and again, like, one of the great things about, say, like about Elementary or Columbo, or in theory the CSI series, because the fact that they explain what happened to you, so like you're not you have knowledge, and like, oh, if I knew that, or I had that bit of information, I could have solved this crime. And that's the whole like escapist fantasy of like police work and the procedures stuff. Like, if I could do that, if only I had access to this fancy laboratory, or if only I had access to this, copious amounts of information and stuff like that. Was like, say, take sample of like what a bad one would be Sherlock, where like it's like magic bullet kind of thing. Oh, it happened off screen. Oh, I know this, and like it's not you, the audience member, being a surrogate. It's like we're watching a genius do his stick, and it's like, and that can only last so far. But like the really good procedurals basically make it so that you, the audience member, could have solved this crime if you felt, if you had only had the inclination, or had the same information as the main detective and stuff. And yeah, and like this little yeah, and 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 in terms of like kind of like trying to make it so that they're not just block stock characters and stuff, like archetypes, like just basically vacant automatons to drive the plot along. Like I was watching movie Bob does a series called Really That Good, and he did a breakdown of like why the first two Spider-Mans are really that good. And essentially he was pointing out how like in the first movie, like you'd get like little cameos, or characters basically like a surgeon, or like a Bruce Campbell's character, basically just random B and C characters, like who maybe not even credited in the movie and stuff, but like they would deliver lines or react to some ways. Okay, so we go, oh, that's enough of a reaction. We can glean who that person is. We can glean some sort of personality out of that character by the way by the way he reacted or the way what he said and stuff. You know, it's like, and just like, even though like it's a tight story in which like a lot of plot is happening, I wanted to basically make it so that like enough while plot was happening, like enough character beats are in there, like, oh, that's a person reacting to this, you know. So which is, I mean, essentially this is story 101, like how do you make a character look like a character supposed to like a blank automaton and stuff. So like I'm not explaining anything new here, but that was basically what I was trying to do. And you know, and I've explained it to you like it was like I'm the first person to see it, you know.
What I love about your series, what you did here on this issue, is that was that a Spanish flag kind of
Yes.
connected to the word bubbles? Where did you get that idea? That's a great idea. So when
Oh,
people are speaking
100% mine.
Spanish,
I certainly did not nick that idea of stay still and stay silent. No, I did not. There's this web comic called Stay Silent and Stay Still, Stay Silent.
okay,
Uh, the I think she's Danish. Basically, she's got a YouTube channel in which she talks and paints these pictures, and it's, I swear to God, it's one of the most lovely watercolor paintings, pictures comics I've ever seen. It's just like, oh, that's, and she has like proper bilingual characters in it, and
okay.
you know that's what she put in her book, and I was like, that's a really cool trick. And like in the death of Willis Waterhouse, there was one the main characters Chang speaks Chinese because he's Chinese, and
Hmm.
I put like that whole like comics thing of like translated from Chinese and stuff, and it's like it's a bit dull. I mean, and then where am I going to exactly put that in? And it's like, oh, this is a cool little thing. Just sticking the little Spanish flag in there. That's a pretty dope idea. I might nick that because not a lot of people. I don't see a lot of people do it. As far as I can tell, it's just me and her. You know, and from here on out, it will be. I'm going to do it all the time because it's a fun little gimmick and stuff. Not too sure I necessarily nailed it down properly and stuff, but like yeah.
For those that have read issue number 1 and those that are going to be reading issue number 2, is there a meta plot here or a running theme that people can kind of find on this?
Apart from an angry nihilism, probably not. No. I mean, there are certain character models that I've rehashed and reused
Hmm.
in like kind of like in the background characters. That's what I was trying to say before, not B and C characters, the background characters. Yeah, but basically, you know, and but yes, essentially, there's character model sheets I've reused for background characters, but um it's also, it's in theory set in the same part of California, about 100 years or so later than Willis Waterhouse. So like in theory, these people might be tangentially related and stuff. I just it's just not necessarily. I mean, I haven't done it intentionally yet. I might swing back to it. I'm not 100% sure because like the third book that I'm working on called Nagal Gadar is set in London, which obviously isn't in
Okay.
California, and I got a couple of plot ideas. Okay, so well, I want to set in London because you know I love my home city. So and like the next 3 books in the in the 13 shots of whiskey will be kind of I'm tangentially referring to as the London trilogy. So like
Mm.
so they will be set in and around London, unless of course a publisher goes, oh by the way you're so awesome here, draw this for us and pay me to do it. Then I'll drop, I'll drop my stuff in the New York Minute. But you know, provided that doesn't happen, the next 3 books are going to be set in London. So I don't think there's going to be a meta textual referencing to, even though I think I might just reuse character model sheets because that's what Tesca Oma does, and so it's you
Right.
know there's no reason why I can't or I shouldn't. So like, and it would save me having to redesign like loads of background characters.
Right. So you're
But
talking about issue number 3 of 13 Shots of Whiskey is going to take
be
place
set
in
in London.
London.
Set in
Yeah.
London. Called Nagal Gadar, which is Hindi for it, as it's a bad word for and traitor. It's
Mm.
a Hindi swear word and traitor and stuff.
So what do you prefer as someone that kind of like that? Do you have a specific? Because I know last time we talked about you just love driving horses, so that's why you had a Western. Do you find yourself tending to prefer different geographic locations as compared to different times or for different genres? What do you seem to be swayed more towards that inspire your stories?
Um, I I'll be honest with you. I don't really know. I haven't really. I don't. I'm not really good at drawing like foliage and trees and stuff. So I prefer to draw cities. But I think my problem with foliage and stuff is because it's for some reason problem with drawing fire and water and smoke is the fact that they are so nebulous. It's really hard to kind of like just stick on a pattern,
Mm,
and it just kind of eludes me. But
mm,
I think I found a way of doing it in Three Deaths of Willis Waterhouse. I quite liked that I didn't really didn't seem to work well in. Well, no, it did. That same method didn't really work that well in Burnt Ends. So I'm looking for a way of. But yeah, I think in terms of geography, I think I prefer doing in cities and stuff.
mm.
Just because I because it's all regimented and I know what stuff looks like, and so I think cities is my preference.
Right. Instead of that, as you said, instead of the nebulous designs of foliage and
Yeah, because it's also, I mean, even though it's so random and stuff, but like there's still certain like it's so many like different ways of like because like say you look at the way say like say like a show like Family Guy or Simpsons or Bob's Burgers draws a tree,
mhm.
and then you look at say the way someone like Adam Warren or uh, Daniel Warren Johnson or draws a tree, and then you look at the way someone like Eric Larson draws a tree. There's so many different ways to do it and stuff, and there's so many different like little shapes and ticks, and it's just trying to find the one that fits right in my hand and stuff. So
Right.
yeah, and it's just yeah. Whereas like drawing animals, animals look pretty regimented. So I can once I know how to do that and drawing houses, it's just like yeah.
Right.
I think some I don't really see I don't see it in an envelope sort of way. I see like kind of like the minutia and the detail and stuff. I'm focusing in on the leaf as opposed to the tree because no one cares about the leaf. But like so
Right.
I'm there.
So, what are some of the things that you've learned from doing issue 1 of 13 Shots of Whiskey that you're able to then streamline your process for Burnt Ends?
I learned not to be afraid of kind of spot blacking and using grays and stuff and like basically yeah. So basically learning how to craft the because if you look at the three deaths of Willis Waterhouse, it's even though like it's kind of based on like kind of old timey kind of westerns and stuff, it can be a little sparse. I was like, well, I need to do better than that. So like so that's why there's a lot more kind of there's a lot more kind of depth and color and stuff. And also one of the things that kind of irritated me about the Three Deaths of Willis Waterhouse. Well, again, a perfect comic. Some of the lines are a bit on the thin side, and
Mm.
it's like, and like and so I was like, well, I need to do something about that. And I can't, and so I went from using raster layers on in 3 Deaths of Willis Waterhouse to using vector layers in this, which meant that instead of having to go over the same line again and again and again and again, it's just a case of draw the line and then use the line thicken tool to basically. But the problem with using vector layers is like it's the first time I ever done it, and this page you're looking at now really kind of highlighted how much I did not know about how to use vector layers, because like the background and stuff, I was using a pointillism pen and stuff, and it was I started using vector layers and stuff to basically improve my workflow and everything, and so but like it was a learning, because like you can't use pointillism tools on a vector layer because it doesn't, because you then say you try to erase it and stuff, it totally doesn't work and everything, and so like, and
Oh wow!
I mean, like just as a learning curve. So that's what this was. This is a massive kind of learning curve going from using a different type of layer, which is, I mean, the reason it took a little longer is because essentially I got, you know what, sod this. I need to get better at this. So I took a week off from drawing burnt ends and did a Supergirl comic, in which basically I learned how to use vector layers, and then it was just a learning curve on how to basically use vector layers and stuff. And then so when I went back in to doing burnt ends and stuff, it's a case of like it was just yeah, it improved the workflow. It's like it improved the workflow because like it helped clean up and stuff, and do thicker lines and stuff. So I learned what I didn't like about my artwork, presentation wise, in 3 shots, and then burnt ends helped me go, well, this and t'other and stuff. So like again, improve the workload.
Right. So talk to us a bit about what people can expect from the book.
Sleaze, gore, and softball. So this is more adult than 3 Deaths. It starts off with Sylvester Bloom taking photos of a naked Melody Malik so her husband can get divorced, and and then it goes to in which the reason it's called Burnt Ends is because the town of St. Giles is bedeviled by a serial killer who the press have dubbed Burnt Ends Killers, and we see him kidnap and torture and then burn a victim to death, and then it just proceeds from there.
Okay.
So it's just I just basically got my my red roominess out of me, and so yeah, I've never really drawn like sexually explicit stuff before. It's never been in my wheelhouse. So I figured I'd give it a go in public. Why not? And then so like now I know what now I know what I do and don't like doing.
Right. Now, is this also because it's a neo-noir though, and looking at the illustrations on this, is this set in a different time period?
Yeah, this is set in the tail end of the 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
So like about 100 years after 3 Deaths of Willis Waterhouse.
Okay. Was there a reason why you had it there? Was there something specific about the storyline that had to take place in the 1950s?
I mean, basically, it could have taken time. I mean, one of the main reasons is because I like the aesthetic of the clothes and of the vintage and everything. I wanted to play in that area, and the idea of it kind of might be set in like the same sort of place as 3 Deaths, but like about 100 years jump seemed like a good timestamp, and so it's like and like the cars from that period are pretty cool and everything, and it's just like and it seemed like a cool time to explore, and so essentially it seemed like a cool idea, a cool place to play, and especially seems like how like the whole conservative idea of like prim and proper is that period of time, and given how like nobody behaves themselves in this book, like the idea of
Right.
having like a proper prim conservative, like, yes, where everyone's well behaved, and everyone does teas and stuff, and then while they're all you know running around on each other and stuff, it seemed like like the contrast would have been amusing on the face of it and stuff. So, and then I got to figure out how to draw Buicks, which I quite enjoyed and stuff. So yeah,
So the Buicks are kind of like the horses for you in
yeah.
issue 1.
I mean, I swear to God, I hated drawing cards up until this issue, and I was like, oh, now I get it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Now,
and
what is it
Ford
about you
Mustangs.
where you right? So what is it about when you write this? You always have protagonists that kind of have flawed characteristics. Is that something that you're drawn to?
Yeah, I'm a kid of the '90s. So like my favorite character of all time is Deadpool. So like the anti-hero is because like because like there's something about the fact that like like you can like the bad guy who's been done wrong and you get and who then gets revenge is an interesting trope because like John Wick being a really good example. I
Hmm.
mean, as a stone cold murderer, there's no reason why we should like him and stuff. But like, homie was done dirty, and then we
Right.
watch him for a movie get his revenge, and then that kind of holds for about another movie in a bit before you realize, oh, now he's turned back into a douche. So we're now watching a bad guy do bad things. So like, it's an interesting dynamic and stuff. And yeah, yeah. Willis was a turd of a human being. I don't really think that Sylvester Bloom is that bad of a guy. He's just like a just he just he's not a good guy, but he's not a terrible guy neither. Like just a guy essentially who's found himself in a position where like he needs to make money,
Hmm.
and this is the position he gets himself in, and he doesn't particularly care about the people that he's um whose lives he may be ruining with his private eyeing and stuff. So
Right.
yeah, so I mean, yeah,
And so,
no
because you
one's
wrote
perfect.
this,
So
right?
yeah,
So when you wrote this, I'm curious to see how long did it take you, as you said, when you wrote the script out. Did you have people kind of proofread it and edit it for you to say, hey, this is kind of loose ends here? And how did that work?
basically, like with most things, I get I get a bunch of beta readers to read it to make sure that um everything kind of fits and makes sense and stuff. Did a my dad's a writer, so I went to buy him.
Oh, cool.
Like you saying about like the Spanish flag and stuff. Like one of the reasons why that is in there is because both the main character and his cousin are Spanish immigrants, and I was chopping and changing between them speaking both Spanish and English, which is like no one really does that and stuff. And it was just like it was a bit of a tropey thing that that was kind of placeholding. And he said, instead like don't do that and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's probably best if I remove that trope now because I don't want
Mm,
it to be a case of like kind of placeholding. Oh, it's in the final book and everything. So like
right.
but to speak, I think I mean not to think I know my stuff well enough that I can go like yeah, no, this is how it's going to flow out because I'm especially when I show the script to people and they go, yeah, no, that's cool. Oh, I got that idea. I got where you're going with there, and I think that's kind of good to run. Like if this was like a long planned out project and stuff, and I was taking months and months and months to plan it out and be meticulous and stuff, I'd be more meticulous and have a lot more beta readers and editors and stuff. But like this is meant to be like a like kind of one and done 7 week kind of project. So like the expediency of getting a story done well and told quickly is part of the appeal of it. So like so yeah, essentially yeah, I think I'm not to sound arrogant, but I think I know my stuff enough to go like, well, that'll work, and then shimmy on and stuff, and give people like a once over, go, does this sound all right to you and stuff,
Hmm.
and then
So
kind of go from there.
okay.
Yeah,
So this is available now, right? Can people?
it
Because I
certainly
think this came out on May 2nd, I believe. So
it certainly
a
did. Yeah,
few
so you can
weeks
get it from my
a few weeks ago. Yeah.
you can get it from digitally from my Gumroad and from
Okay.
my Buy Small Press, which is uh, linked and stuff. Yeah, and uh, basically the physical copy will be out within like a week or so because basically I wanted to get this out by a certain point, and
Okay.
I the proof the physical proof took a little bit of time to come in. I literally only just got it yesterday,
Oh,
so to check
cool.
through it and stuff. So, but but it's all okay. I've changed a few things, and I've placed the order. So in hopefully I'll have that because Comic Print UK, the guy I go with, is pretty good on turnaround. So hopefully the physical copy will be available soon.
Mm. So yeah, so you can get this now, as you say. This is available now uh, for the PDF version of
Yeah,
it, correct now?
yeah,
And it's a great deal. You're talking about 23 pages, £2 right now,
yeah.
and so that's probably that's a really good price.
I like to
So
think it is. Yeah.
yeah, and also too for folks that are interested, you have a really good commissions portfolio that people can find on your Patreon page,
I do,
and
and I am available. So you know.
right. And you have some really, and if people are interested in reaching out to you for headshots or looking for, as you say, half body shots on there, and all the prices are on there. And the cool thing about what you put together, Marcus, is that your your link tree has a link to your Patreon, your commissioners commissions info, your Etsy store, your Gumroad, Buy Small Press, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff is available
Yeah,
right there. So,
I feel as it make it as life as easy as possible for people. You know. Uh,
and so Marcus, when is issue 3 going to be available?
um, in in theory, in about 5 weeks or so. So
Wow.
so basically, I've spent the last 2 weeks doing the prep work. So I've designed the characters, I've written the script, and I've done the thumbnails and stuff. I probably should get some people to beta read it. Actually, no, you reminded me. But yeah, so so if anyone sees this and wants to beta read the read my script, just give us a shout and I'll send it over your way. So yeah, that should be out. So I've started working on that, and in theory, that should be it should take me about 4 or 5 weeks to draw to draw the comic. So yeah,
Nice. Wow. Okay. Cool. Well,
and
yeah. So
speaking of stuff coming
yeah.
out, and on Monday, uh, the uh, the Kickstarter comic that me and Devon failed to launch, called The Gateway. That's we're finally releasing that on Monday, so that will be
Okay.
available on the Gumroad.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So yeah.
I
So
was going to
no.
send you material about it, but I didn't get around to it because I'm lazy. So you know, I'm like, it's just
This is exciting. Like there's constantly stuff coming out from you. Then this is great.
well, yeah. I want this to be a thing where people go like, well, like know that I'm reliable and I'm dependable, and go, So for what I lack in imagination and originality, to go, well, you tell him to draw something and he'll draw it and stuff. There's some skill in that,
Right.
you can't draw a tree for Toffee, but like he'll draw he'll churn a comic out for us. Let's pay him to do that and stuff. That's kind of the aim.
Right.
You
Perfect.
know.
Well, yeah. So definitely, then, Marcus, you gotta, come back on when your your next titles come out. That's exciting.
Cool. I'm always happy to come back.
All right. Perfect. Well, then again, so thank you so much, Marcus. And it was, once again, it's a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you too, man. Thank you for all the questions, and hopefully I was more concise than I think I might have been.
No, it was good.